Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to add or remove officials from your club on the Scottish Women's Football Admin Site, paying particular attention to the recruitment process clubs should undertake when they intend to add officials to the club and what must be done after officials have been added to the admin site to ensure that all the officials are fully compliant to take part in any football activity. So in order to add officials into your club, you should enter your SWF Admin Site. So the address for this page should be listed within the video description. Note that only officials listed in the position of Club Secretary can add or remove officials on the admin site. So if you are the Club Secretary and you've forgotten your password to log into the admin site, please use the Forgotten Password function to reset this, or contact SWF who may reset your password. So once you log in, this will take you to your club landing page. So the tab we'll be working from today, and the one you should familiarise yourself with as Club Secretary, is the Officials tab. So depending on how many officials and roles you have at your club already, this officials landing page might look a bit different for you. However, in my example, I'm a brand new club and recruiting all the officials for my club. But whether you're a new club or an existing club, the official recruitment process must be done in the exact same way. So it's very important to note at this stage that all volunteers or officials must be added to your club regardless of the frequency of their involvement. So it doesn't matter if it's the head coach who hasn't missed a session, or perhaps a parent who helps out every now and then. Every official must be added onto the club's list of officials and follow the relevant recruitment process. So when you're adding officials to your club, the easiest way to think about it is that you're going through any other recruitment process as you would a job where references would be required. So with that in mind then, and even before you think about adding a new official onto your list of officials, the Club Secretary must have received 2 references approving the suitability of the new official you'd like to add to the club. One reference should be from a previous employer, and the other can be a personal reference, as long as it's not from another member of your club or their family. If the club is aware that the official has been recruited by another club previously, the Club Secretary should suggest that one of the references comes from their previous club, or notify the new official that the Club Secretary will contact their previous club for a reference on top of the 2 received references. References should be completed on an official SWF reference form, which can be downloaded via the link in the description of the video. So in my example, I've been recruiting for 3 positions at my club at this stage. I've collected the relevant number of references for each official using the SWF reference form, so I should make sure that the club are happy with the references and that officials are suitable before retaining these references for as long as the officials are carrying out their role at the club. I'm now in a position where I can add these officials onto my list of officials within the club, before ensuring that each official starts to work towards full compliance with SWF's safe selection process, which I'll come on to shortly. The first position I'm going to add is the role of the youth coach. So I would click on the Add New Official button. It'll then ask me for the name, surname and date of birth of the official I'd like to add. So I would input these details. Hit search. So because this official already has a coach ID, so they may have been added onto the admin site in the past, the system's matched this official based on the information I've input. So if this actually isn't the official you're looking for, you can click on Add New Person, but in my case, this is exactly the person I was looking for. So I'd click on Add Person. So this next page would let me double check that all details are correct for this official. So please double check that all details are up to date on this page. And if I did need to make a change, I'd simply click on Add New Address or Add New Contacts. So I would then select the position this official will be undertaking from the drop-down. So in my case, I'm looking for the youth team coach. And finally, as I said earlier, you should already have the relevant references for recruiting this official. So this section is just to make sure that all references have been received, and please don't go past this stage if you've not yet collected the references. So I'm happy they've been received and I'm happy with them, so I would check that box and hit Add Official. So you'll then be notified that the person has been added and that they've received an email to log in to the SWF Admin Site. So I'll come back onto these coloured abbreviations beneath their name shortly. So the next position I'd like to add is my Child Wellbeing and Protection Officer. So again, I click Add New Official. I would input the details it's asking for. I then search for that official. So the details match this official here. That's the person I'm looking for. So I would add that person. I would double check that all details are correct here. I would select the position from the drop down, so it's Child Wellbeing and Protection Officer I'm looking for. And again, I'm happy that I've sought and received 2 references approving the suitability here, and we're happy with those references. So again, I would check that box and Add Official. And again, that person has been added and they should now have received an email to log in to the admin site from their end. So the final position I'd like to add is the role of Team Secretary. So again, Add New Official, type in their name, and date of birth. Search. So in this case, the system can't find anyone with these details and it believes that they're a new official, which is the case. They've never been added onto the system before. So in this case, I would need to add all their details onto the site. So in this case, I would click Add New Person. So check their initial details are correct. I would enter their postcode. I would confirm their postcode, make sure that's correct before clicking Add This Address, and then I would enter their contact details. Okay, I would add the contact details before I add the new position, which is Team Secretary. And again, down the bottom, I'm happy that I've received the 2 references and that we're happy to approve this person's suitability. I would then add the official. That final official has now received an email with their login details to enter the admin site. So if you simply want to add a role onto an existing official within my list, This can be done via the Update Official Position button on the far right, alongside the official's name. So note though that you may be limited in what positions are selectable for each official, depending on the status of the official application, which I'll cover shortly. In short, you won't be able to add a regulated role on top of an existing regulated role, where the official is yet to complete all safe selection process aspects. You can add these roles via the Add Position button, choosing the roles from the drop-down. And then this should pull through to the list of officials. So now that I've added each of my new officials, and before I move on to explain the steps to make sure that they're all fully compliant officials, I'll show you how to reset any official's password or remove any officials from the site. So if one of your officials says that they've forgotten a password and the forgotten password function isn't enough for them, you can reset your password or their password via the System Users tab down the bottom of the page here. So alongside each official, you would click on Update User Permissions. And you'd simply click on the Reset Password button here and confirm the password reset. This should then send them an automatic password reset to their inbox. Also within this section, you can change the official's access to different areas of the SWF Admin Site if you want to limit what they can and can't see using this drop down here. If you'd like to delete an official, also on the system users list, you would click Delete User alongside their name. It's also important that after you delete the user, you go back onto your list of officials and you delete the official from your list of officials as well as the user. So we would strongly encourage all club secretaries to review their list of officials regularly to ensure that everything is accurate at your club. So I'll now move on and explain what these coloured abbreviated terms mean and note what officials must do to become fully compliant SWF officials. So you've noticed that as you added each new official onto your list, coloured abbreviations appeared under each official's name. After collecting references and adding officials onto the SWF Admin Site, it's really important that you ensure that each abbreviation under each official changes from red to green. It's so important to note here that any official who has a red abbreviated term under their name or who has not received email approval from SWF that their official application has been approved, then they can't take part in any football activity within this club. So let's have a look at the three abbreviated terms in more detail. The definitions can be found at the bottom of the page, but the CW represents the Children's Wellbeing in Scottish Football e-learning course. The PVG represents an SWF PVG application, so you'll notice that this is only shown if the official is in a regulated role, so it doesn't appear for the team secretary. And the DEC, the DEC, represents all the officials' declarations that must be completed via the official's My Details tab on their own SWF Admin Site login. Looking at the red CW or Children's Wellbeing in Scottish Football e-learning course first then, All officials, regardless of whether or not an official is in a regulated role, must complete the Children's Wellbeing in Scottish Football e-learning course in order to change their CW from red to green. In order to complete the e-learning course, officials should access the Scottish FA live coaching site using login details specific to that site. A link to the Scottish FA coaching site can be found in the video description, along with a link to instructions on how to access the specific e-learning course from the Scottish FA coaching account page. If you or any other club official have issues accessing or completing the e-learning course, or you think that you have already completed this course, you should contact the coaching email within the video description or your Scottish FA region email for further assistance. Now let's look at the decks, or the officials' declarations. When the club secretary adds an official onto the club's list of officials, the official will receive an automatic email with a password and link to access their own SWF Admin Site page, with further instructions on how to complete outstanding areas of the safe selection process. There will be a deadline within the email before the official's login expires, so please ensure new officials access and validate their login as soon as possible. Remember though, club secretaries can reset passwords if a new password is required. So when an official logs into their own SWF Admin Site using their supplied password from the email, they should see this screen under My Details tab. The new official must then follow the instructions in red. The official should check all of their details are correct before clicking the Confirm Details. The official must then complete each declaration as required towards the bottom of the page. Some of these declarations only need to be completed once, but some are to be completed annually. So please make sure that you follow SWF prompts when the declarations need to be completed again by each official, usually during club affiliation time. So officials should download and read each of the hyperlink declarations before checking each box. So for the self-declaration section on the right hand side, it's important to note that the I have something to declare box should only be checked when an official has a criminal conviction to declare. So anything that would appear on a PVG, regardless of whether or not the official deemed it to be relevant, or however long ago the conviction may have been. That's because SWF is required to risk assess this and may ask for more information. In my case, I have nothing to declare. So newly added officials must ensure that they complete this section, along with all other aspects of the safe selection process, to ensure that their official application doesn't lapse. So the final aspect of the safe selection process, and possibly the part that takes the longest to complete, is the SWF PVG process. So it's important that club secretaries or CWPOs and newly added officials make a start in this process as soon as possible. If an official is appointed in a regulated role and does not have a PVG through SWF specifically, a red PVG note will appear under the name on the list of club officials, and so the club should start the PVG process for that official. First, the club secretary or CWPO should supply the newly added official who is undertaking a regulated role with the PVG application request form, which can now be seen on screen. A link to this form can be found in the video description, along with the guidance notes on how to complete the form and subsequent steps, and a process map to detail the PVG process. The newly added official should first complete this PVG application request form and return it to their club secretary or CWPO with 3 forms of ID. The club secretary or CWPO should email this ID and PVG application request form to SWF, who then passes this over to Volunteer Scotland, where the PVG process will begin. The club secretary, CWPO and official shall all receive regular automatic updates from SWF during the PVG process. The PVG turnaround time may vary, however SWF asks that all clubs fully comply if any other information or action is required with regards to the official's PVGs to avoid delay in completing the process. It's really important to note here that PVGs are not transferable, meaning, for example, if one of your officials had a PVG through SYFA, it would not make them compliant for SWF2. In addition to this, PVGs only last 3 years from date of receipt, so SWF encourages all club secretaries to check the validity of each official's PVG when required. Only when all areas of the safe selection process have been completed and the club secretary, CWPO and newly added official receive an email advising that the official's SWF official application has been approved, the official may take part in SWF activity. Until that notification is received, however, the official may not take part in any SWF activity. The exact same process must be followed with all newly added officials, following the abbreviated prompts from the list of officials within your club. SWF encourages club secretaries to regularly review their list of officials to ensure that the club is fully compliant to avoid club affiliation restrictions or delays, and that team lines are able to be generated accurately. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact SWF using the contact details listed within the video description.